make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How they communicate with you? Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food?
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system, and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be? What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void. And I'm your host, Joe Roop. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. On Monday, May the 11th, J.M. Debord is back. Rad Al. We're going to talk about dreams specifically. Tonight, we're going to be talking about how to tap into past lives, maybe get a little information about what's going on there, past lives, and maybe some ancestral stuff. I don't know. This is a cool conversation. It's one we haven't had with JM. JM's a frequent guest on this show that we've had come on quite a bit. And just in case you're listening, you've never heard of JM Debord, he's also known as Rad Al. He's the author of 3 books about dreams, including the best-selling Dream Interpretation Dictionary. And he explains this complex subject simply and easily and empowers readers to discover their innate abilities, to know the meaning and significance of their dreams, which we here at Lighting the Void and all the Void Walkers feel is a very important thing, to use your dreams for initiation or to learn more about yourself or to expand your consciousness. And now more than ever, with like we talked about last time he was here, with the isolation and stuff happening, it's kind of a big deal. It's one of those things that you can really get involved with. Now, I want to tell everybody real quick before we bring him on that I got to thank all the patrons out there. Like, new people are signing up, and I'm trying to catch up with all the content on there. As soon as the website for the Fringe FM launches, then we'll be on there. Like, there won't be any stopping. I'm just really focused on a lot of different things at once right now. And also, I'm going to throw up the live feed again just to kind of promote Patreon, I guess, the Shack live feed. So everybody that joins Patreon will get that. And then eventually I'll be able to ramp that up depending on if I get the right equipment and stuff. So, yeah. All right. So JM is here with us, and I'm really just glad that you're back with us, man. Thanks for coming on the program.
Joe, it is always a pleasure, man. Thank you for having me back, and we get a chance to talk about something that's
a very interesting subject, and I think a lot of your audience is, going to find it interesting too. The conjunction or the junction between past lives and past life dreams. So I'm looking forward to it, bro.
Yeah, me too, definitely. So this is something that everybody's interested in because we always get hints about our past lives, and we get readings from people that tell us that we have a past life, and all lots of different things. Honestly, tell us that it's real. But how do we know? How do we know though? How do we know for sure? What tells you before we get into it? What lets you know for sure that we, number one, do have past lives and that we can tap into them?
Well, this is a question I get asked a lot, and it's asked a lot at one of the forums where I'm a moderator at Reddit, at the Past Lives forum. So anyone interested, go to pastlives.reddit.com. People want to know whether or not, one, if past lives are real. And it is, the proof that you're going to find is going to be subjective. This is something that you find within yourself. The memories that you have from your past lives are in your subconscious mind. It's much the same as dream memories, except for buried even more deeply. And the way that you get to those memories is accessed via your imagination. Your imagination is the eye that looks inward. And so when I say imagination, there's a lot of people out there who will automatically say, oh, well, you're just imagining it. You imagined that you had this past life and you made up these details. Sometimes some cases that's true. But if it is coming from an honest process where you are looking inside of yourself without preconditions or prejudging, you can find these memories within yourself. And you can know, instead of knowing rationally, in your heart and your intuition that there is a deep connection between those memories and you in this life. It's always about what's happening now, presently in your life. Even if you dream about a life that seemingly was centuries ago, it's always about what's happening now in your life. And time doesn't really matter in the place where we all come from, that world of spirit where we come from before we become these people. We inhabit these bodies. In that other place, time doesn't exist. Now, that's not to say, though, that there isn't a rational component to it. There are some researchers out of the University of Virginia who are very famous for this. Ian Stevenson, originally, he was a department chair in the Department of Perceptual Studies. I think he was a psychiatrist. And the guy who took up the baton from him, and his name is Jim Tucker, he's a MD, he's a psychiatrist. Both of them came at the subject as academics, and they were looking for what all other researchers, scientists, academics are looking for. They're looking for the proof. And they found them in thousands of cases that they researched very thoroughly and used scientific protocols to find people who say that they've had past lives, especially children, and then to investigate it. And what they found were some cases where children, sometimes very young, 3, 4, 5 years old, remembered things, memories from past lives. The children didn't know it was past lives. They're just like, hey, I was Uncle Bobby, and I was a pilot in the war, and I flew this kind of plane, and I was on this ship that was called such and such. It's a ship that's forgotten in history. It was World War II. How does a 3-year-old get this information? How do they even know there was an Uncle Bobby? Because Uncle Bobby's been gone for years. No one ever talks about him. The child identifies things like pictures of relatives. And the preponderance of the evidence for this, Joe, is overwhelming. There have even been meta-studies done on the research, or the statisticians and other people have taken a look at the research, and they've said, well, what are the odds that this really is an extraordinary coincidence? And the odds go into the billions, 1 in a billion, 1 in 5 billion. I forget what exactly the data was, but I saw a study that was done on the records, the research that was done by Doctors Stevenson and Tucker. And it's overwhelmingly in the favor of these being actual cases. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, you have two choices. You either know that it's something that's true and factual, or it is in a coincidence that is beyond extraordinary, and that there are thousands of these coincidences out there, and and it's all people who are just making crap up in their mind, or they have false memories or whatever. So I know this also from the research, but also from my own experience. I have done past life regressions. I had a dream more than 20 years ago that started me on this path. I didn't ask for the dream. The dream came to me, and it gave me information. It told me a name from a past life. It said the name in a way that was from the time period that I lived in. I didn't know how to say the name that way. There's a modern equivalent to it, Darius. But the real way of saying the name, at least in the ancient Greek, is Darius. And it was also said more of like a Darus, Darus. And that comes from the Indian side. I didn't know any of this stuff at the time. This is stuff I've picked up over the years since then as I've researched this. That name led me on a quest to find out why I was given the dream. I was told explicitly, this was your name from a past life. And then I researched the name and the period of history that it was all tied in with. That gave me an idea for writing a novel. I did all this research and I said, there's a great book here. It doesn't have anything to do with my past lives, but it started me off on this path. I wrote that novel. It did not break me into the publishing world, but it gave me the practice that I needed. And then the next book that I wrote is what broke me into the publishing world. So in a way, it made my dream come true. Something that I'd been working at for many years and hadn't gotten to the level of success that I wanted. But by having that dream and pursuing it, it led me ultimately to getting to where in my life I wanted to be. So whether or not it was true, I honestly don't care. I know from the benefit, you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. I have helped a lot of people understand this subject better. And as a moderator of the forum, I've heard a lot of people come in who share their stories of past life regression, either through self-hypnosis or using guided videos on YouTube from people like Brian Weiss, or going and visiting a past life regression therapist. And you know what I haven't found, Joe? Is one person who's come back and said that they had anything other than benefit from the experience. Sometimes they don't know how to process it right away. They can't say that it was great for them, but they can't say that it did them any harm. To me, when you start using this faculty of the mind to visualize and go within yourself, you can use it for anything that is internally focused. You want to know how to astral project? Begin by learning how to visualize. You want to learn how to be clairvoyant? Begin by learning how to visualize. And don't worry whether or not any of it's real or not. I mean, none of us want to be the guy walking down the street going, well, I was Cleopatra in my past life. We hear these stories from people who are in like mental institutions. Oh, I was Jesus. Well, the doctor goes and sits him down next to the other patient they have who also says that he was Jesus, or they're the second coming or something like that. We don't want to delude ourselves. And there is a line, where you can fool yourself with things. But I think with this process that there's never really any fooling with it, as long as your feet are kept in reality. As long as you're here, you're living your daily life with your feet on the ground, then you can let your head go into the clouds. But just make sure your feet are on the ground. Make sure you're taking care of your business. Make sure you're taking care of yourself and your home and the people around you. You're taking care of your business. Do that, and then, hey, as long as you're taking care of that part, everything else that you do, it might be only happening inside your own mind, but I guarantee you, Joe, that you are tapping into something that is deeper and greater than yourself. And if you can do that and get experience with it, you will learn over time how to differentiate and how to go deeper and deeper with it. And eventually, for some people, maybe it happens very quickly. For other people like me, it takes years of practice. I'm kind of hard in the head that way. But by practicing it, keeping my feet on the ground, not questioning too much. I want to have discernment, but I'm not worried about what's imagination and what's not. I keep that eye looking inward, and eventually I have experiences that have been very beneficial and life enriching for me. In fact, they've helped me to build the life and have the life that I really wanted to have. What could be wrong with that?
Yeah, right. Well, I'm definitely starting to learn that myself, too, brother, honestly. I don't know if I'm learning it the hard way. I got to tell you though, the whole taking care of business thing, like, and not getting involved so much in other things that really, yeah. I mean, I'm totally with you on that for sure. 100%. So now how do we, let's say that we don't, that we wanted to kind of separate illusion from reality when it comes to past lives and things like that, right? So I guess I would like to know, how would I start doing these things? Like, what do I need to do to start trying to see my past life? Does it come to me? Is there a way that I can get to it? That kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. First of all, you can go on to YouTube and other online sources where there are past life regression videos from people such as Brian Weiss. Brian Weiss wrote Many Lives, Many Masters, probably his most famous book about the subject. For anyone out there that doesn't know, Brian Weiss is a psychiatrist. In his practice, he learned hypnosis, as many psychiatrists and other medical professionals know how to do. He started finding that some of his patients were reporting memories of experiences that they couldn't have had in their present physical life. He thought at first, he investigated it as any good doctor would do, as being something that was a more imaginary experience, not as something that was real. And then it walked into his treatment room with proof to him. And once he got over that hump, he was able to investigate it with an open mind. And now he's very famous, but he also took a lot of flack for it early on because he kind of got shunned out of his profession because of what he discovered through his honest to goodness research. So Brian Weiss has videos that are on YouTube that are guided past life regression. You could use that as a term, guided past life regression. This is what he's going to do. He's first going to tell you that you need to get relaxed, get comfortable, lie down, preferably, and start to breathe deeply from your stomach. Diaphragm breathing. This is going to enrich your system with oxygen. It's going to get the CO2 out of your blood. It's going to get you into a more relaxed state of mind. And then you're going to close your eyes and you're going to go inward. And you're going to picture something that helps you to go deep into yourself. And it's going to be a visualization, such as walking down steps. This was a audio. I before there was YouTube, I bought one of Brian's books because there were 2 audio CDs that were included in it. It had him, showing you how he does it. The same way that he would do with a patient that was in his office, how he would get them into a self-hypnotic state so that they could then access past life memories. So he's going to have you walk down these stairs. And as you go deeper down, as you go to each step, you're feeling yourself getting less distracted by anything from the outside. You're going to feel yourself getting more relaxed. You're more in tune. And then when you get to the bottom, he's going to have you imagine that there's like a garden or a lake or something that's very peaceful and serene for you. You're going to enter into that scene in your mind. Just walk into it. Let your mind's eye enter into the scene. And then he's going to have you make a request. You're going to have an intention. You want to find out information about your past lives. This is a good thing to do before you've even begun the exercise. You want to state it clearly to yourself. I'm here because I want to know what can help me to know about where my soul has journeyed to in the past? And how is my life presently connected with the things that are in the past? You have people in your life who are connected to you from past lives. They're part of your soul group. You have experiences that you are having in your life, have had and are having now, that are part of something that you knew was coming, might have even planned for before you came into this life. This was a hard one for me to accept, Joe, but I've now, after many years of working with this, I've found it to be true. Life is not nearly as random as it appears to be. And a wonderful thing that I've discovered about this is that we plan out these experiences with other people who incarnate into the world with us. They can be relatives, parents, siblings. Sometimes they're best friends or just friends, lovers. Sometimes they are enemies and rivals and opponents. Some of our most difficult relationships.
Yeah, sometimes they betray you, and you're supposed to learn from that too. That's what I hear, right? Like,
yeah,
why would we want that though? Yeah. Why would we want to be betrayed? I often wonder that. Like, why would we want to feel something like that?
Yeah. You know, I was just on the Past Lives Forum tonight, and before I got on air with you, and there was a guy who said, my life has been miserable, and I feel like I've been punished for what I've done in a past life. I've had other people who've come in and said that they suffered horrible abuse. And then I'll see comments that come in and they say, oh, this was something that you planned it out and you asked for it in a way. And I'm like, oh man, don't take somebody who's, was sexually abused by their,
right.
uncle or mom or something like that, and try to tell them that they somehow asked for it, oh, you set this up as a challenge for your life. But there is actually some truth to it. It's not to say that you asked for it or you planned it, but there is something that you are going to learn from the experience, and how you respond to it gives you the opportunity to become a better person than you would have been otherwise. I told this to a friend of mine once she told me, she can kind of one of the first people she ever told, that her uncle had done horrible sexual things to her. And when I started talking about and going this direction with her, I almost lost a friend that day. Even explaining it to her in a way that was very gentle.
Yeah.
But she came back after she had a chance to digest it. And she said, there is something, there's some truth to this, because it has made me into a better person. It has made me to be an advocate for other children who are abused. And soon after that, Joe, the daughter of the woman who became her wife, her daughter, her wife had a daughter from a previous marriage, and the father was abusing the daughter. And because my friend was there and involved with her, in a new relationship, my friend was in that relationship with her, and the daughter was, in the household with her. My friend was there to be able to identify the signs, because the daughter would come back after a weekend visit with dad, and there was something that was different about her, and my friend was able to recognize it. So she was empowered to be able to do this. Once she was able to overcome that sense of having been a victim, she became an advocate. So
Good
for people, it's hard to say this is why you want to be, you want to be betrayed. You want to go through all this pain and suffering. You want to have that illness because it provides a challenge for you so that you can become a better person. I listen to myself say that, Joe, and it's the hardest thing, man. But I know that there is at least some truth to it, at least that life is not as random as it appears to be. And that the situations that come into our lives, sometimes the most painful ones, are the ones that are there to help us to grow, to learn from it, to become better people, to become sturdier. There's something that I've seen in common. I'm almost 50 years old, and I have seen something in common with people who have lived through the greatest challenges and have met those challenges. Sometimes they were crushed by them, but they got through it. and they didn't let it turn them dark, is that they are the most present people that you will ever meet. They are there in the moment with you. Their mind is not going off and, all these other places. They're not wrapped up in themselves so much that they can't connect with the people in their environment. They're there. They're present. They're sturdy. They're reliable. And they're often very wise. But almost every wise person you ever meet will tell you that that wisdom was born from pain and sorrow. So why ask to be betrayed? I can't make that argument that you asked for it, or that you set it up.
Right.
What I can say is I've seen it from the other end, and the people who've lived through that and have met that challenge, that those are the best people that you'll ever want to know. And that there is something deeper to it that's going on than just randomness.
Well, I totally, I hope you're right, because you get to the point where you go and you ask the gods or God or whatever and say, look, I may have agreed to some of this stuff or some of this karma, but sometimes you get to the point where you're like, hey, I just can't take this anymore. Like, can you give me a break here? Right? Like, just kind of done with it. And I don't know. I can tell you one thing that the dream thing has done for me. At least it's helped me grow without that. Because I've grown through like my relationships in my life, whether it's friends, family, or partners, and I've always grown the deepest way through that avenue. But a lot of that stuff it's just getting to the point where it's like, you get sick of the backhanded stuff and everything. And then you're like, well, I can just figure out a lot of this stuff on my own through dreams. And, you realize that you can do a lot for yourself if you just get in touch with your subconscious, and dreams are one way to do that. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm, me as an advocate for dream work as being something that is very beneficial for you, that you can discover who you really are and settle into that in a way that you become comfortable with you, with all the good and the bad and the in between. You stop labeling it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're, if you're a real asshole, then maybe you should work on yourself a little bit.
Right.
Why don't you come to a point of self-acceptance first? And this is what your dream work does for you. Carl Jung called it individuation. It's a process of becoming, of kind of settling into your own skin and being able to look around one day and go, the good, bad, and the ugly, I'm okay with it because I'm me. I get to live this life and live within this narrative that I've created for myself. But I'm more than just a narrative. There is something within me at the heart of me, and I love it. If you can honestly look yourself in the eyes, or even just say it to yourself in a very sincere way, that I love you, it is more empowering than anything, Joe, that I've ever found. But most people can't do it, though, because there's something about themselves that they're not comfortable with. And I go, why? What is it, really? Oh, I've done some terrible things in my life. Well, haven't we all?
Hasn't? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't live up to my parents' expectations. Oh, well, I come from I had a terrible family life and I can't seem to get over it. And I just go, dude, every moment of your life is a new opportunity to try. Don't let those narratives from the past define who you are. And this is something that dream work has taught me, because you know what your dreams do over and over again? They take you back to that place where you're stuck, and they give you a new opportunity to get past it. So that part of yourself that creates your dreams, and Joe, there's an intelligence behind it that is greater than yourself. The dream source, there is an amazing intelligence that's behind it. And I suggest for anyone listening that they look up Lucid Dreaming Experience magazine. The latest issue has these people in their dream lives who have touched that thing that's behind their dreams. They do it lucidly. They've gone in search of it. And some of them have found that it followed them from their dream lives into their waking lives, that the symbols and the things that they saw in their dreams starts repeating in their physical environment. And they learn that the physical world is just as responsive to us as the dream world. So, man, yeah, start with dream work. It can really help you with this. And the memory, the muscle that you're working in your brain or mind or whatever you want to think of it as, that same muscle is the one that's going to help you with other things that you try to visualize. It's going to help you with manifestation of your intentions. It's going to help you to access your past lives. This stuff is all connected in together, and it begins with exercising the mind's eye. Just do that on a regular basis. Look forward to it when you wake up in the morning. What did my dreams tell me last night? What new adventures are waiting for me? And then they were previewed in my dreams. What place in my life am I still stuck, and my dreams are showing me how to get around it? All you got to do sometimes is just reflect on your dreams. Start asking questions. My old buddy Jeremy Kep was in my dreams last night. We used to hang out when we were in our 20s, playing Counter-Strike, drinking beers, working as bartenders, partying all night long, going to bed after the sun rises. And I still see him on Facebook and stuff, and he's now a family man with a regular job, But for some reason, last night, we were bringing pizza back to his place, and he was trying to give me directions to find my way back to my bike. I don't even have a bike these days, but in the dream, I'm in New York City, and he's trying to give me directions back to my bike. I still don't completely understand the dream, Joe, but I went on for a walk today, and I went ahead and just thought about that dream some more. And I looked at my friend Jeremy, and I said, what are you doing in my dream? What purpose or function do you serve? What is it that you like about yourself? What do you not like? What do you love? What do you fear? What do you desire? Just asking these questions of him in my own mind. And amazingly, in the 15 minutes that I had to walk, the questioning started when I started on my walking path, and it ended by the time I got back home. And I felt like I was in a much better place within myself, because I didn't exactly hear a lot of solid answers from it, but simply by bringing the dream content into my mind in my waking state and working with it, it's helped me to process at a deeper level. And I think I'm understanding why my old buddy was there with some pizza. There's something about him that I respect. We were both in the same place at one time. We were kind of lost 20-year-old men, or hell, even into our early 30s. And then we both made decisions that we wanted to move on from that. It was time to grow up, And so there was, in a way, it's like we're both trying to live that role that we've decided that we want to live. There's a guy named Jordan Peterson who's become very famous because he's a professor, and he's taken a lot of flack too.
But he's also a leading leader for a lot of male men out there too in this society. So
he sure is. Yes, and he says that young men these days are looking for a challenge. They are looking for that heavy thing that they can carry forward, that they want to push that rock up the hill and keep pushing it. And that's what it's saying is they want to be adults. They want to live in a way that is authentic. They want to take on their responsibilities. They want to be men. They want to be fathers. And I mean this in a bigger sense of the word. Being a father isn't just about pumping out babies. Being a father is someone who is steady and generative and gives off this air that they can lead. They're dependable. They're providers. And it's not just providing materially. It's waking up every day and being present and accountable. And that's a huge thing, Joe.
Absolutely.
But Jordan Peterson says that. Yeah, and I really respect him for that.
Well, there's a lot of things I respect him for too, because he also talks about things that he acknowledges the nuclear family and also the patriarchal society, and like he's really gotten into the interplay, the psychological interplay between us and individuals and our relationships and society and who we are to ourselves. And you know what this is really about? I think this is a lot of this. Something is calling us right now to listen to our intuition. I think more than anything.
Yeah.
Because our intuition is the thing that we are going to eventually learn either the easy way or the hard way to listen to. And our intuition and our dreams, they tell us things. And I'm the one that's usually, I have to learn kicking and screaming. You know?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Oh
man.
Too old for
trust
that.
me, there are people who, if they would have, they knew me 30 years ago, and if they heard me talking on the radio right now, talking about this stuff, they'd be like, that dude was the last person that we ever thought would grow up.
Yeah, me too, right?
The last person who would embrace his responsibilities, the last person who, it would be somebody that you could, who could offer you some good advice. But it's that life taught me these things. I was reflecting on my life today, and I kind of thought about, there were times in the past when I could have gone a path that was all self-serving, and I kind of tried to, honestly, Joe, and I did live that way for a long, long time.
What do you mean by self-serving,
but
though?
Always that was trying to take self-serving, meaning that I only my own agenda, and that nobody else really mattered, that the world is here to give me what I want, and the people in the world are there to give me what I want, and that, to be damned with everyone else, not that I have anything, against them, but just that they ain't doing anything for me,
There's no way I'd be talking to you right now if that's who you were, though, just to be honest with you. Like, if I met that person that you're talking about, we wouldn't hang out, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I tell you, bro, that's something about living through a lot of, pain and sorrow and hardship. It makes you relate to other people in a more heart-to-heart, human-to-human sort of way. And I'm thankful for the experiences that I've had that remind me of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still get kind of caught up in myself, and something will come along and it will make me realize that there's so much more going on than just in my own little world, and that I need to be present for it. I need to engage with it. I need to relate to the people who are around me and understand that they too are having an experience of life, and that in a way, by participating in their lives with them in a very authentic, heart-centered sort of way, that it does more for me in the end. Honestly, I wouldn't have known that before I did it, and that's not why I did it. But in the end, it has made me into someone that I respect more, so that I can look in the mirror and say, dude, you're all right. I love you. It's
That's
hard
a good
to know
thing,
to
man.
do that when you're only serving yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so all of this, you said intuition, man. That has been the primary path that I have found through all of this. What is it do you feel in your gut? Luke Skywalker, trust your damn feelings. Isn't that what Obi-Wan said to him over and over again?
Yep.
And there is your intuition, your feelings, your gut. You have deeper senses in you than just the 5 senses that you know. Your nervous system is a machine. It can pick up so much from your environment, from even things that are distant from you. You can know what's going on in the lives of people who've been connected to you, and you haven't seen each other in years. I have my YouTube channel. Look up Radal on YouTube, and there is Radal Shared Dreams. There was a girl who came to Reddit, to the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit, and she shared this experience of these dreams she had of a guy that she used to be really close with, really good friends, but hadn't seen him in years. And she started dreaming about things that were happening in his life presently. She saw details of it that were impossible for her to have known any other way. She even had dreams that put her into locations that she'd never been to before. And you can see during the interview, she's telling me this, and she's like, yeah, and I was at this park, and it was in Washington, and there were all these, and she's describing it, and I'm like, wait a minute, and I have my screencast software on. So I pull up, online search engine, and I look for this thing, And the pictures start popping up, and then she's describing it, and she's saying, this was something I saw in my dream. And there were the picnic tables and the walking paths, and there was the river, and there was the bridge. And I'm looking at it as we're talking. And I'm like, you saw all that in a dream first. And she's like, yeah, I'd never even heard of the place before. I've never even been to that part of the country before. And she was dreaming about it because there was still some kind of a connection that she had with this person. I asked her, I was like, well, do you think he's like a twin flame, like a soulmate? She's like, no, not at all. If anything, the dreams were maybe helping her to maybe put some of that stuff to rest.
Right.
Not that she was waiting for him to come along and sweep her off her feet or anything. She was married. She had kids, all that. That wasn't something that she was looking for at all. But she was still interested in knowing what was going on in his life. She was connected somehow at a deeper level with the dude. And then she was dreaming about him. And I think this happens a lot more than what most people realize. That sometimes when they dream, I'm going to have to call my friend Jeremy Kep. I'm going to have to ask him if he was eating some pizza last night. Pepperoni, Jeremy, and there was some in your back seat that had gotten out of the box and kind of squished into your seat. So I need to give my bro a call, man. I haven't talked to him in 15 years, but maybe I'm dreaming about him too. And some of this stuff is factual. Sometimes when you go into dreamland, you are actually connecting to people who are alive and dreaming, or maybe not dreaming, but you're connecting with them in a deeper way. You know that from your golf dream.
Yeah.
I've thought about that a lot, man. You've had a pretty amazing experience. Have you had any more dreams about being on the golf course with all those familiar people?
Not that I can remember. In fact, I've been stifled a lot in my dreams here lately. It's like something's blocking me, but I did have a crazy dream the other night that I was in this, like, I don't know, I really don't know where I was, but it was like I could see mandalas and stuff, and then there's this person sitting in front of me, and they're cloaked, but they're not. It's not a boy, it's not a girl. It's like, but I know this person, and it's giving me messages. It's telling me that, you know what it told me? It's like it's moving its mouth, but the air sounds like that it's passing through like a massive tunnel. You know what that sounds like when wind is going through like a massive tunnel?
Sure.
And,
yeah.
But kind of like at a flutish type pitch. And when it would open its mouth, I could feel the vibration from it. And it was telling me that it's like you're feeling alone because you're making others feel alone around you. And I was like, what? There's nobody around me. I'm out here in the shack all by myself, And so I was asked, and I don't even remember the questions I was asking. I was asking certain questions to it. And when I would talk, that it would vibrate like that pipe noise, kind of. And it just kept repeating. And then there was other stuff in that dream. I just don't, that's the only part I remember. So I woke up and I wrote that down, and it's like, okay. So I've been trying to pay attention to the people like physically around me. And I guess I'm so inundated with my work and what's going on and the new website and all, like, just I'm in front of this damn screen 24/7. So those that are around me are feeling like I'm leaving them in a way. I think that was the message.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that sure sounds that way to me, and I relate to that. I spend a lot of time in front of a screen too, and I get so involved in my work that I'm not engaged. And it's, you're getting that message that it's very important. I tried to arrange with your producer to have Linda Schiller on your show, and she's on the East Coast, and she's a psychotherapist, so she can't be up all night talking to you and then go and handle patients in the morning. So we weren't able to arrange it. But she has something I was reading. I helped to edit her book called Modern Dream Work. Linda, even though she's a psychotherapist, is also got a foot in the world of the mystical and the shamanistic. She studied the Kabbalah. She had experiences starting from a young age where she was taught that there is more to life, and that one of the paths to getting there, to finding what this is, to following that breadcrumb trail, is through paths of deep meditation, visualization, the Kabbalah, mysticism. And she says that sometimes in our dreams that we are contacting super conscious or super aware dream characters that actually have existences outside of ourselves. Now, I'm a firm believer that in the archetypal layer of the psyche, that you can not invent, they're there already, but that you can access them, and they are truly part of you. When you see that character who's giving you that amazing feedback, you could be seeing a projection of a deep aspect of yourself. But it's also possible that you are accessing something that is even deeper than that. It's something that exists independently of you. I have found in my most fascinating dream characters that they have an autonomy to them. They have an independence. And that when I wake up, their world continues to exist. Their lives continue. And when I see them again in a dream, we can catch up on old times. You know?
That's so
it's
wild. Are you serious? They're living another life somewhere else?
Yes.
In some other dimension?
Their existence is independent of ourselves. And they can come into your dreams and be very intimately tied to you, almost like spirit guides. They know everything about you. They give the perfect advice. They know what they know, Joe, that you've been disconnected from your, from the people around you because your head is
buried
inside that screen. And it knows that you've got, you've got some ambition and you've got things you want to do. And this is part of what's going to do it for you. But there's also a wisdom to what that character said to you that maybe you know it deep inside of yourself. Maybe you invented that character to tell you it, but maybe that character came to you from another level of consciousness or awareness, and it delivered that message to you because it's existing different. It's existing separately of you. It doesn't wait for you to dream and join it. It waits for you to dream and come to it. Like it's not just coming, you close your eyes and now its world comes on. It's there. You're coming into your dream state to come to it. Now, I didn't really, as a conventional dream interpreter, I had to be really careful with this stuff. When I first started going public with this, back about 7 years ago, I was like, hey, look, I studied all the schools of thought of dream interpretation. I'm not a psychologist, but I know a lot about the subject. And I know how to interpret dreams as conventional experiences that we have. And most of our dreams, in a sense, are conventional. There's a lot of memory processing that goes on. There's a lot of emotional digestion. There's a lot of clearing the memory banks and getting ready for the next day, kind of learning things. There's things going on in your brain like neuroplasticity. Your neural networks are forming and responding to your new experiences of life. These things are not controversial at all. You can talk to a neuroscientist or a psychologist, and we've all been educated in this stuff, and it's very easy to agree. Then you get into experiences that go deeper, and people have these experiences. Like the girl who, dreamed about a place that she'd never been, and accurate descriptions over and over again. Like she's a fly on the wall, seeing what is happening with a friend that she hadn't talked to in 10 years. So I had to open my mind to this and to accept that there's a reality to it. And in fact, I've not just accept it, now I embrace it, but it didn't come easily for me. It took me many years to have experiences of it myself, and then to meet people like Linda. ModernDreamWork.com gives kind of a overview of her book and her approach. You'll have to read the book, though, to get to some of the more mystical stuff that she talks about. But she's open, that she studied the Kabbalah and mysticism and stuff like that. And over and over again, I'm encountering people who know more than I do, who say, yes, this stuff is real. It's true. Carl Jung had his own experiences of it, things that happened to him in dreams and in his waking life that were way outside of what you would call the norm. And I think that it's a wonderful thing that it's there and that it can happen. You can choose to have these experiences, or at least to open yourself to them, or you can choose to stay closed off to them. But I think if you stay closed off to it, that there's something that you're going to miss that could be extremely valuable in your experience of life.
Yeah,
I hope that makes sense.
Well, it does. It does make sense, but I have this thing, like once I start once someone starts, yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. Like, we got to stay open to certain things, because we do shut ourselves off from things, man. Tell you, that's weird, man. The door in the shack just flew. It just like kind of creeped open, like something's coming in, that is nuts. Anyways, you're not visiting me again, are you?
Ooh, yeah. Hey, bro, I haven't dreamed about you since that one time, but I saw you through your front door. I swear, man, I was up on that shack up on that hill in Arkansas. It sure felt like I was there with you. So, you've got more than just you there. Maybe that's something that it's telling you, dude, that dream that you had.
I don't know what it's
maybe
saying.
There's more going on around you, and you're not going to see it with your eyes, man. You're going to feel it with your heart.
Let me ask you this, though.
Maybe. I'm sure of it.
When you keep having dreams about snakes in the grass and then you see them in real life, what does that tell you? Come on, man. Think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. You had Paul Levy on your show, and Paul teaches that the dream, that the dream is, life is like a dream because our environment is responsive to us. It's responsive to our thoughts and our feelings. And our dreams also respond to us, and they are malleable, and they respond on the fly to what you're thinking and feeling at the time while you're dreaming. And the dream can change to respond to what you're thinking and feeling while you're dreaming. The world can also change to respond in the same sort of way. And you start seeing these things. Man, I had a friend of mine in college who was a very, very driven person. She was she was from overseas, and she had gotten a scholarship as an athlete, came to the United States, came from a country that was in a very hard state at the time. This was after the fall of the communist bloc, and she was from one of the countries there. And so people around her are in, economic, this is the Great Depression for them in a way. But she became kind of a lifeline for her family. And she came to this country with knowing maybe 100 words of English. And she starts into college level classes as a business student. Had the hardest, she's doing that, and she's a scholarship athlete. Was one of the best people on her team in college at a major university. So, D1 athlete. So she's taking care of all of that. And we got around, she got to her senior year, and now she knows English a lot better. She's done it, she's getting the degree. She's going to be the lifeline for a whole group of people who are back in her home country, who are relying on her because they don't have anything, And she started having these dreams about snakes.
Yeah.
And the snake would attach to her wrist. And then I was reading some Carl Jung at the time, which I've been doing that in a lot of my life. But at the time, Carl Jung was still pretty new to me. And he talked about a dream that someone had that was a patient of his about a snake biting him on the wrist and staying attached to their wrist. And he said that this was a call from within them to go through a radical change. And I was like, my friend is driving herself crazy trying to do all of this stuff to be this lifeline for her family. And it's not to say that she can't do that, but the way that she's doing this is burning her at both ends. You could just see you could see this grinding her down. And I suggested it to her. And then, like, within a day, we're in an urban environment. We went to an urban school, University of Cincinnati. Within a day, she had encountered a snake never seen a snake before. I hadn't really seen a snake before in that, we're talking about city neighborhoods. There's no snakes around there. She encountered one. And then, if I remember correctly, this was years ago, she encountered another one. It was like she was ignoring what the dreams were telling her. So her environment was repeating the message to her, but it was getting louder and louder. It was saying, you need to stop doing this to yourself. The being driven by anxiety.
Boy, do I know
Well, if you're going to take on these heavy responsibilities, then do it, but don't do it with anxiety. That's not doing you any good. In fact, that's burning you out before your time.
Right.
That's making you into a martyr. You don't want to be a martyr. You can sacrifice for other people, but don't be a martyr. So your environment can respond to you, and it can keep sending you the messages that are in dreams and in waking life. I like to think of it as a cycle, that they're not two separate states of existence that have nothing to do with each other. What happens to you by day is then incorporated into what happens to you by night in your dreams. And what happens in your dreams is incorporated into what happens to you by day. This is a cycle.
Right.
And the two are intimately connected with each other. In fact, I think that in our dreams that we are shown probabilities or possibilities for the future in symbolic and story form. And we actually make choices about what is actually going to happen in our future. And we do it while we're dreaming.
Wow. Pretty fascinating stuff. Hey, look, the phone lines are open. If you guys want to talk to JM Debord, we'll take your calls right when we come back from this break. Stay with us.
This is Malorcas 45, fan of the Fringe FM, challenging everyone to open their mind's eye. Listen to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop to gain precision for your third eye vision.
This is Barbara Charlton from Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've ever had a traumatic paranormal experience, the effects of it may stay with you for years. Who do you talk to? You can't go to conventional help. What we do is we use emotional freedom techniques or tapping to actually neutralize the effects of that event. Maybe when you tell the story now, your heart races and your palms get sweaty. You don't even want to think about it because you don't know how to neutralize that. That's what EFT tapping does. It neutralizes those emotions. The circuit that was recorded on is gone. The energy flows freely and you're free of it. And that's what emotional freedom is all about. We offer this as a pro bono service, but this is something that I offer because no one, it seems, is helping people with these experiences. If you'd like to reach me, it's really easy. My cell phone is 214-995-3754. Please leave a message. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Or you can email me, barb.eft@gmail.com. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Reach out to me. It's confidential. This works. You.
An ad or banner which brought you a feeling that someone is reading your mind or even listening to your conversations, your online data is being used against you. Surfshark is a VPN service that makes online privacy protection easy and attainable. You can use it on as many devices as you'd like simultaneously. The VPN service that we use at UFO Seekers, plus 1 month free for $1.99 a month. Visit surfshark.deals/seekers. We spend almost as much time online as sleeping. That's 6 to 8 hours a day. The internet knows a lot about us, and that's why we should care about our online data. Use Surfshark to encrypt your personal information and send it via a secure VPN tunnel so that no one can see it without your permission. Visit surfshark.deals/seekers. You need to protect yourself from surveillance and targeted advertising. Surfshark encrypts all internet traffic sent to and from your devices and ensures that your IP address remains hidden. The VPN service that we use at UFO Seekers, plus 1 month free for $1.99 a month. Visit surfshark.deals/seekers.
We all have that story to tell in our lives. The winds were howling. The ground shook. You could hear rushing water. And then, history repeats itself. When there's no power, refrigeration fails. Stores with their shelves stripped bare. ATMs can't operate. Deliveries stop. Then what? These events can last days or weeks. You need a plan. In statements made during recent interviews, FEMA Administrator Brock Long has repeatedly urged all Americans to understand 3 truths. FEMA is broke. The system is broken. If this is the new normal, Americans can't rely on federal cavalry when disaster strikes. Don't get caught out in the elements empty-handed. Prepare with us by going to preparewiththefringe.com and get your 2-week food supply. 92 servings, 8 food varieties with 25-year shelf life. Normally $137, now only $75. Or get a month's supply, normally $247, now only $147, shipped in 1 business day. Just go to preparewiththefringe.com or call 888-440-7931. That's 888-440-7931. Get this great offer and be prepared while it lasts.
All right, man. This is Crow 777, and you are listening to The Fringe FM.
Right, me old Chiners. I know it's an ad break, but before you lot shoot off and make yourself a cup of Rosie Lee or whatever else it is you're going to sling down your Gregory Peck, you need to listen to me babble. If, like me, you found your way to Lighting the Void via a downloadable podcast, you might want to take a butcher's at the Fringe FM Wind and Kite. You won't Adam and Eve how many other shows there are or what they rabbit on about. Ancient history, conspiracy, the consciousness, the esoteric, the occult, metaphysics, parapolitical, ufology, technology and spirituality, to name but a few. They got featured hosts like Ryan Gable, Jeremy Scott, Alex Exum, Tim Doyle, Cortana and Gigi, Susanna Ross, the Reverend John Polk, Michael Deacon and J.D. Lewis. You might find yourself listening to the thoughts and theories of the author of the fish you just finished reading. Or you could pick up the dog and bone, call in and tell everyone your own beliefs or experiences. So do me a favour, before you put on the Ansel or crack open a bottle of vino or roll a joint, go to the Fringe FM and see what you're missing.
From a cave in the depths of your mind, it's Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Hey, I'm J.M. Debord, and when I want to talk about dreams, I look up my man Joe Roop and his show, Lighting the Void.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. Our guest tonight, J.M. Debord. And then tomorrow night, we're going to have Michael Wands coming back from Susquehanna Alchemy. Then we're going to have Frankie Fearless come back on, too, Wednesday night. And Thursday night, we're going to have a pretty cool guest on as well. J.M. Debord is our guest tonight. If you want to call into the show, 1-800-588-0335. You can also join the Fringe FM chat. And for now, I'm trying to promote my Patreon. So if you want to get a live feed to the Shack on YouTube, you can go to the Fringe FM chat room, and I dropped the links in there. We do have a caller here for you, JM, and it's the caller's number is, looks like 248 area code. You're on the air with JM Debord. Who are we speaking with?
This is Brent. I'm going to... Since it doesn't seem to be coming in real well, I'm going to contact you on Twitter. Is that okay?
Well, funny enough, my Twitter has been suspended for some reason. I don't know why. Like, my Twitter has totally been suspended. I don't know why they did that, honestly. So, yeah, you can DM me. Yeah, like if
I wanted to say is that I wanted you to have Marianne Williamson on your program because she is a spiritual leader.
Okay. Well, I'll have Pacho look into that, brother. Thanks for letting me know.
I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Because she is a spiritual leader, and I really would appreciate it, Joe, if you would have Marianne on.
Okay. Well, I will tell Pacho, Brent, and thank you for your call, brother. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your call. So before the break, I was trying to, during the break, I was telling you about how, you know how you said that the dreams interplay back and forth with our lives, like what happens in our lives, we get clues from in our dreams and vice versa, right? Didn't you say something like that before we had to take a break?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, we've...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say you're right on track. The universe, the world, the fabric of reality, whatever you want to call it, is responsive to us. all of our thoughts and our feelings. And there are things that are going on that are much deeper than what we can experience here on the surface material, physical level. You can know over time as you develop your finer senses, your clairsenses, clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience, where you can actually tune in to this and experience it. You can also directly engage with the dream source. And that's one reason why I recommended Lucid Dreaming Experience to your audience, the magazine, because the last issue was dedicated to people who used their lucid dreams to engage with the dream source, to say, hey, intelligent thing that's behind the scene, wizard behind the curtain, I want to know who you are. What are you? And what do you have to do with me? And as you engage with it, it engages with you. Now, there's something that has to happen inside of you first that will allow the curtain to open. Sometimes it takes a long time, Joe. Sometimes you're too caught up in yourself to really be able to get outside of the perspective that's keeping you from seeing this thing that is there all the time. But I found that this is where it simply begins. This is point number one for me. And this is just for me. I can't say this applies to anyone else. It begins by loving what's going on around me. The people, the things, the plants, the rocks, the blue sky, or the cloudy sky. Just it all. Engage with it in my feelings. Allow that energy to move through me. Sometimes I just sit and I breathe and I can feel, it's like I'm breathing in through the soles of my feet. And I feel it come into my body. It comes to the top of my head. I breathe out and it goes all down through my body and out the soles of my feet. And then I just keep repeating that pattern because I need it to move. Maybe I've been sitting for hours doing something like producing another audiobook, or designing a website or doing something that's very mentally engaging. And I'm caught in that and I need to step out of it. What I'm really saying, Joe, is that I have to step out of myself. Your last caller said, you need to have, and I didn't hear the name clearly, you need to have her on the show because she's a spiritual leader. And I'm sitting there thinking, God, I hope no one does that to me. All respect to your caller, but, to be the person that other people look to as being some kind of spiritual leader. Do you know what most spiritual leaders will tell you? The ones who are really worth listening to?
Yeah.
Don't listen to me.
Find out for yourself.
They'll tell you to go have your own experience.
Right.
Yeah. We've done too much listening to other people. We are lining up, waiting for people to give us the answers. We have an entire world right now that is scared and it's waiting for people to come along to say, we have the answers. And they do have the answers, bro, and we ain't going to like it. What's coming down the pipe, something that, but we're giving, but because we're not empowered for ourselves. And where it really all comes back to is stepping outside of yourself. You ask yourself these big questions about life and you look for these big answers. And behind it, there is this awareness that one of these days you're going to die. You're not going to be here anymore in a physical body. And there's almost like this sort of desperate attempt to figure it all out before you go. But you know what that is? That's a cat chasing its own tail. It's not going to ever get you to where you're not going to find answers that way. In fact, there are no answers to be found. That's the answer. That's the answer. You just accept it the way that it is. Mm-hmm. You accept you the way that you are, and the world the way it is, and you just engage with it. You look around at it with eyes wide open and wonder and awe, and you ask over and over, as many times as you need to, who is there? There is something that's there. You can't see it with your eyes, but it's there. And you can have your own experience of it. Don't wait for someone else to give you their answers. Don't wait for someone else to lead you to find it for yourself, for them to say, well, this is what I found, and it must be right for you because it was right for me. It might be you're waiting for someone else to give you answers that you need to find yourself. Because unless those answers come from within you, then they're never going to be right for you. They're not going to stick inside of you. It's not going to last. You're going to end up deluding yourself.
Right.
You need to have your own experience of this. We have all come from a place of master intelligence, of the universe, the intelligence that created all of this is where we all come from. And we've decided to be individual beings. We are still it. We're part of its body in a way. We're a cell within the body, but we have full access to the master craftsman. It is part of us, and there's no separation between us and it. It's just is. It's there, and honestly, dude, it's waiting for you. It's waiting for you to get curious about it. It's waiting for you to drop your own pretenses. Every time I've gone deep inside this stuff and I started thinking maybe there's something more for me as some kind of leader in this world, you know where I get pointed, bro? I get pointed right here at home. I get pointed to the things that I can do here and now in my space and in my limited capacity and the limited power that I have to do something. It points me towards the people who come to Reddit. Oh, I'm Rat Owl, I'm this famous dude here at Reddit, oh, I'm famous on the internet, and I start getting wrapped up in that crap.
Yeah,
and every time I do, I get a slap. Yeah, man.
Well, I got to tell you,
built for years,
I want to take this call, and I got to tell you something similar to that. Looks like Kentucky, 270 area code. You're on the air with J.M. Debord. Who are we speaking with?
This is Jan, Joe. How are you doing?
Good, Jan. How are you?
Okay. I can't... He said something about trying to find the answer into yourself, but this is something that's been going on for a while, and I don't know if he would even be able to answer it. It doesn't really scare me. It's kind of an amazing wow factor. But I have dreams, and I'll have a dream about somebody, and I'll have the dream for a while, 2 weeks maybe, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know everything's all right with them and everything, but I find out they're dead.
Ooh.
And this has happened more than... I've even had it done with pets.
Wow.
That I'll dream about them.
Yep.
And they'll be in my dreams, and then I find out they died.
I hope you hadn't been dreaming about me then. I'm just saying. Like, if you start dreaming about me or JM or anybody, let us know so we can, wall ourselves in or something. But I don't know. What do you think about that, JM? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, first, I'm glad that you're not scared by the experience. A lot of people have these sorts of dreams who respond to it, and they get scared by it. And there are some people who have these dreams regularly, where they just know that it's their time to go. Someone that they've been connected to at some time in their life, whether a relative or an old friend. Some people even dream about it, a guy had a dream about Kobe in the helicopter crash, and he just knew that it was going to happen, and when he heard the news of it, he didn't know it was Kobe in his dream, but when he saw the pictures in the news, he's like, I dreamed about it. I was on that helicopter with him in my mind, in my dream. And I think that there's a couple different ways of approaching this. One is that you might be someone who is just your presence is your connection to them through their dreams, and them to you through your dreams is a way of helping to ferry them to the other side. I mean, in a way, there's a connection that you share with that person. And if you're not afraid, then they're not afraid either. There's something that you're doing for them. And there have been people in other cultures and times and places who were recognized as playing this very special role where they knew when it was time for people to go, sometimes for pets to go. They knew it was when that time was coming. You know, they've seen this in some hospice homes. There was one that I heard about where they had a cat that would come to the room when someone they knew that when that cat came to a certain patient's room, the cat was not anyone's in particular, it just stayed in the hospice. And when it came to the room of a particular person, they knew that within, about a day, that it was going to be time for that person to depart. And that there was something mysterious and beautiful about the role that that cat was playing, but it was there to comfort them and maybe even help them, because you're no longer in your body anymore, but you're still alive. And it's very disconcerting for some people. And if there can be something that's familiar for them, when you're in that state, you can connect without, telepathically, without question. It's just something that you can do. It's a natural ability. So maybe there's something that you're able to do by knowing this through the dreams and connecting with those people, that you're helping them when they transition, because they know that you're there, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. They know that you're there and that you're not afraid. So that means they don't have to be afraid either.
But there
used to be people, Joe, who played these roles. Go ahead. The dreams what?
The dreams are of a good time. Like a good friend of mine.
Good.
We had good times together. And I would dream of those good times. And then a week or two later, that's when I'd hear that he died. And it was like, oh, wow, I just dreamed about him. And it, like I said, all the dreams are good. But then a week or so after, that's when I find out they died. So that's what's been amazing, and I just don't know what the answer is.
Well, I don't know either, and I've only had, I've had some limited experience with helping, with listening to people as they share these experiences, and looking at sources such as Sally Rhine Feather, who was the daughter of J.B. Rhine at the Rhine Institute in Durham, North Carolina. They did a lot of study of this stuff, gathering accounts from people and of these really wonderful dream experiences that they had. And Sally wrote a book called The Gift, and it might be something that you'd want to pick up, because there's a lot of reports of amazing things that happened, including knowing the day or like having dreams that were premonitions of death or change, so that might be something that can help you. But I think it's really cool that the dreams are very positive, that it's kind of like a New Orleans funeral, break out the horns and everybody have a good time. Let's party, because that's the way that it used to be seen in some cultures. That it was the people who were left behind that you needed to feel sorry for. The person who's departing no longer has a care in the world. It's party time for them. Yeah. Which I think is a great way to think about it, Joe. It gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah, I do too. But then thank you so much, Dan, for your call. That's pretty interesting. That has to be a scary situation. I don't know if I could deal with having that kind of I would be warning people, man. I'd be like, look, I had a dream about you. You better watch out. Like, take a baby aspirin, sit in the house for a few days or something. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
But it also tells you that it was something that was going to happen one way or another. I think that we choose exit points. I just edited a book. It's the true story of Anthony Joseph, From Death to Life, and it's written by Terry Ann Russell. And Terry is she lives in Sedona, Arizona, and she's a medium and a psychic, and she does it professionally. And her son he was 27 years old, and he went from having some stomach issues to being dead in 4 hours. And he'd been to the urgent care place, and they sent him home, and they said, you just got some gas or something. It's no big deal. And he died. And then she started, before she could even get out her front door, after the police arrived and told her, hey, your son's dead. We need you to come with us, kind of thing. And before she could even get out the door, she said that his spirit was already back and talking to her and going, Mom, I'm here. Don't check out on me here. I'm here. Don't worry. This is weird for me, but I'm still me. I'm still here. And he started getting her these messages, and she's, deep into the meditations and visualizations and stuff like that. She knows how to access them in the place where he is. And one of the things that he told her early on is that, Mom, I had an exit point when I had completed what I came here to do, and it was time for me to go. And at a deeper level than my physical level, I chose this as my time to go. And let me tell you why. It's so that we can write this book together, because there's things that I need to share through the book, through you, so that you can share them with the world. Because it's time for people to know that death is not the end, and that the people that we have loved and they have departed are still connected with us. In fact, they are living simultaneously with us and where they are in another place, a place where there is no time and space. There is no separation. They can be right there with you. And he said that he was there to see things. He was there to see the paramedics working on him when they were trying to resuscitate him. He was able to give details about what was happening. He's like, I was there. I was seeing it all, He gave details about his roommate who felt guilty about not being able to save him. He's like, Mom, you need to, you send my brother and go and see him, because he's in a fragile state right now. And sure enough, they followed the advice and they went and they did it. But there was the thing that really hit me, Joe, was that he knew it was going to come at a deeper level. He chose that as an exit point. That's what he called it. It's an exit point. And that it's not, the day and the time is not necessarily known. You know it because you're done with what you came here to do. And there's no point in being here anymore. And then you can just slip right out of your body and you go on to your next phase of existence. And it amazes us to even think about that, because most of us fear death, at least to some extent. But if you cannot fear it, you use it as something that says, get done what you need to do. Whatever it is that you came here to do, get it done. Connect as much as you can with the people around you. Express your love to them every opportunity that you get. But there will come a point, and it's your exit. And when it's time to go, it's just time to go. But you've actually arranged it in a way. And you're going on to something that's just as interesting as what you're experiencing here. But without the hunger pains and the sleepless nights, without the heartache and without the, it's different. And he says where he is that he's still got things to do, that it's not like he goes into cold storage, that you're just, I'm going to go to heaven and sit on a cloud and listen to the angels sing. That sounds freaking boring. It might be okay for a minute, but I want to have something more to do. I want to have a challenge. I want to see that my life here on earth and everything that I experienced and learned from it can go on and evolve even further. And that's what he says he's doing. He has a guy, his mom, the woman who's the author and the psychic I told you about. He sent her a name in a session that they had where she was as kind of a medium, but she's now connecting with him as his spirit. And he said, Mom, I'm going to teach you some things about how to manipulate DNA for healing, and you're going to do it with your mind. I'm going to teach you these energy techniques for how to work with DNA. And he mentioned a name. He said, this guy is here with me, and he knows more about DNA than, he was one of the most famous people for this when he was alive. And now he's here with me, and he's teaching me the things that I'm going to teach you. And she had never heard of him. She looks him up on Wikipedia. He was a Nobel Prize winning geneticist. He was involved in the early with the people who were, Crick and the others who were famous as the early pioneers in DNA. He was part of that team. And he had just died like 3 months before her son did. And he's there with them. And he's teaching. The guy's knowledge about DNA is now reaching to a new level where he's doing something with it in his next life. And he's still participating with us here because he's trying to teach people who are still alive some of these things that can be done with DNA and for the purpose of healing. So your existence doesn't end. It continues. And the purpose and mission that you have can also continue. You can continue to be somebody who is a loving presence in the life. If you have a bond with love with someone in the physical world with them, it continues on. And they're there. They're accessible. Dude, I've seen it in dreams many times. Many, many times. Did I ever tell you about the lady who had the dream about one of her relatives? It was her mother-in-law, a recently deceased relative who knew both of them, came to her in a dream and said, "Tell your mother-in-law that there's a snake in her shower." Okay, this is in a dream. Oh, what does that mean symbolically? Oh, there's a snake in your shower. Do you know what happened the next morning? Mother-in-law goes into her shower and there's a snake. I mean, what are the odds, right? I've had another one where a guy had a dream where he was told by someone who was passed on, came to him in a dream and said, "You've got a leaky roof." And he's like, "Oh, my roof isn't leaky. My roof is fine." Do you know what happened the next time it rained? There was a leak in the roof. The people that we've loved and they've passed on can come to us in our dreams. And these are just a couple of examples of information that was passed through the dream state that the dreamers couldn't have known. But there are people every day who are having these experiences, and they come to Reddit. And I tell you, it's fascinating to see and wonderful to participate with them in these explorations of what they've experienced. A lot of times what they're experiencing is, it's them working through grief and loss. But there have been many other times that I've helped and been part of people sharing dreams and experiences in their dreams that they've had where there is no doubt that they actually connected with that person. In fact, you want to think of them in the present tense. Don't ever think of the people who've passed on. Don't ever think of them in the past tense, because they're still very much part of you. Even if it's just a living memory, I know that there's more to it, but you don't have to really think of it as being even more than just a living memory. They're still part of you, and you're part of them, and you're still connected. I've had a relative who came to me, very, very dear relative who passed on a long time ago. And she's come to me to let me know that she was there in a way that was just powerful, man. I mean, as when I felt her, that channel opened up to us, and she's like, "Ah, my little boy," and I'm like, "Oh my God, Grandma," like it was her. I felt it, man. Like nothing. It was a powerful experience. And it lets me know that they're waiting, that she's there. She's okay. And she's still part of my life. And she'll be there when I step out of this body and go to the other side, that she'll be there. Dude, man, start paying attention to what's going on around you. Yeah, there is more. Your deeper sense of man. You're there, man. I mean, you are right on the cusp of this. Do what you need to do in your life and take care of your business, but stop once in a while and just look around. Say who's there, and just open your heart to it. Just open up to it. No pretension, no expectation. Just open up. There's something greater that's going on, and you're part of it. And it's around you all the time. It's around all of us, and you can become aware of it and then start to interact with it and participate with it, because it responds to you. It responds to what's in your mind and in your heart. It responds to your wishes. It wants to make your dreams come true. It wants to give you the life that you really want to have. But you got to decide first that you're going to live for the people around you. Even if you're living in a shack on top of a hill in Arkansas, dude, you're still living for something greater. And that seems to be the first step. If you're doing it out of any kind of self-serving reason that you're going to encounter walls, you're going to get silence,
encounter like extreme shady activity that I'm attracting to myself. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. How much of that are you manifesting yourself?
Absolutely. Like it just,
you've got some deep shit going on in you, dude. And you might be manifesting this stuff around you yourself, but it's a participatory thing.
Mm-hmm.
The environment is reacting to you. It could be something that is coming out of a level of super awareness that you've attracted. It could be an ancestor or someone like that. When you start digging into past life dreams, you start finding out that there's these connections with people your ancestors, and with members of your soul group, and that they can very much come into the present to be with you, to influence your environment. But you can also do that yourself by the things that are deeper inside of you. That energy goes into you, man, and then it goes out, and it gets picked up by your environment. You can start making things happen. You can make doors open and close. You can make faces appear in your windows. You can make noises outside of your house at night. Things that just, get the goosebumps going.
Yeah.
But you approach it with an open mind and let it, kind of laugh at it. That's what I do. It's a wake-up call for me. That's what it says. It says engage. And then it says, go love on your wife. Go call your mom. Go send a message to your brother. Like it speaks to my heart, and it wants me to speak to the people who are, close with me. It wants me to be part of their lives. Sometimes it asks me to go give $5 to that dude who's standing on the corner. The guy with the sign in his hand. Yeah, he's not some heroin addict. And even if he was, I'm not going to judge. But when it speaks to my heart, it's because I can see the genuine need in them, that they're going to take that $5 and they're going to go, put some food in their belly, or go buy a 40. I don't care. It's going to do something for them. But that's what happens is you start getting responsive. That's what it asks you to do. When you start opening up to these things, this is the first thing it's going to ask you to do. It's going to ask you to take care of everyone else. It's going to ask you to help them. It's going to ask you to be open to them. It's going to ask you to love them, even if you don't know them. And if you do that, then everything that you need comes to you. It's all provided for. But you got to put other people first. It's a hard lesson, bro. It really is.
Yeah, it's a hard lesson. I do put other people first, but it's a lot of the times I do it too much. It's either not enough or way too much. Way too much. It's either not enough or way too much. So I got to learn how to balance that stuff out. It seems like the ones I do it way too much for just constantly stick the knife in, and the ones that I don't do it enough for are the ones I should be taking care of, So
isn't that, yeah. Well, there's a discernment that will come with that. It sounds to me like you're still teaching yourself something by attracting something to yourself that you need to experience for whatever reason. I can't say why, but it's coming to you because you're finding out what not. Sometimes you got to find out what not to do. You got to find out who not to give to and what not to attract into your life. And by knowing that first, then you start getting it right. You go, okay, yeah, you start seeing that coming. You see the trouble coming, and you go, okay, I don't want to engage in that again. I don't need to do that. You've only got so much time and energy. Attract the right people into your life. But sometimes you've got to go the other path for a while. That's a legitimate experience, and you there's a pattern that can be established that then needs to be broken. I did a lot when I was younger, man. I mean, I had a lot of experiences of things where I attracted the wrong kinds of experiences to myself. And I did a lot of things to myself that were, it wasn't so good. But in the end, it makes you, if you're still living from the heart and taking these experiences in, then it'll all make sense in the end. And you'll be able to look back and see that there was a benefit to all of it. You just keep giving, though, bro. You just keep trying. Do the best you can with it.
Oh, yeah. I'll be fine. I've been here before. Trust me. I'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But what I'm trying to figure out is how do I learn how to develop that more to where I'd like to be able to ask my dreams certain things, and then kind of explore what the dreams are saying, because divination is kind of leading me nowhere, to be honest with you. You can talk to a million tarot readers and a million astrologers and a million whatever, and they're all gonna have different stories and different things to tell you. And it's like confusing. So really a lot of times the best place to get the answer is from yourself, in your own subconscious, And I do believe that there is a psychic type of energy that is calling to everybody, that is trying to get us to listen to it. And it's just going to keep giving us those experiences until we actually start paying attention and say, okay, I got to start paying attention to this, Yeah. But I don't know.
Well, Terry Ann says that we all have these abilities within ourselves, and that we are living in a time when we won't need so much to look to other people to provide that guidance for us, that you won't need to go see the medium to talk with your, deceased loved one, that you won't need to, see the astrologer to find out what's happening with the stars and the planets and, the signs. That we will learn all of ourselves how to read the signs in our environment and how to have a relationship with it, so that we can discern what it's saying. And you ask where it begins. I think it begins with asking. I think it begins with engaging with it. Even for dream life, it starts in your waking life, and you're engaging with that intelligence that's behind the scenes. Let's use the old cliche, the wizard behind the curtain. Okay, the curtain's closed, but the wizard's there and he's listening. So you just start asking. The Robert Wagner says that anytime something happens to you, you should always ask, what is it about me that attracted that into my life, that attracted that experience to me, whether it's in the form of a person or it's an event or whatever it is. It's because it all begins at home with what's going on with you. So you begin with that, and you asking yourself that question, and then engage with the environment that you're in. I remember the first time that I became aware of this larger awareness that was being aware of me in return. Just looking out across the horizon and breathing in, when you breathe in, you're taking the world into you. And when you breathe out, you're breathing yourself out into the world. It's permeable. There's not so much of a boundary between you and the world. There is no boundary, really. And so you become aware of that. Just start with that presumption that when you breathe in, that there's more coming in than just air. And when you breathe out, that there's part of you that's going out into the environment and changing it. You're actually changing the chemical composition of the air by breathing it. So you start with those little things that you become aware of, and that watching what's happening in your environment. And then as you're going to bed, I suggest that you become conscious of the fact that you're about to go to sleep. You you tell yourself, okay, now I'm about to go dream, and this could be really interesting. And I would like it to be. And I would like to know from my dreams the greater things that I can be and that my life can be. You just ask for it and be aware of it, that you're about to go to sleep and you're about to have this experience of dreaming. And if you have done some of the basic things that you need to do before you go to sleep, I like to stretch. I get my body relaxed. I like to do some deep breathing. Maybe I'll listen to a Bob Monroe meditation or something like that, or Sacred Acoustics. I've been loving their stuff lately. And then I've prepared myself. I'll say kind of a little prayer. Maybe I'll think about, well, do I have a memory of a dream that I woke up with this morning? Maybe I should review that dream one more time before I go to sleep. And then I just kind of say, okay, I'm going to go to sleep, and this could be really interesting. And I want to have this deeper awareness and experience. So I'm going to ask for it. I'm going to prepare for it before I go to bed. And then when I go to sleep, I'm going to anticipate that on some level it's happening every night. And then wake up in the morning, and the first thing you think about, what was it that I was dreaming? What kind of experiences did I have during the night? Lay in the same position that you were in when you were sleeping. This is important. It triggers your body to remember for you. The experience of the dream is imprinted into your body at a cellular level. It's not just in your brain. Your entire nervous system experiences a dream. So you can lay on, like sometimes I'll lay on one side and I'll be writing in my notebook and I'll come up with all the memories that I've had, Joe. Then I roll over onto the other shoulder and I start writing, because I lay on my side and I go back and forth all night because it's, shoulder gets a little cramped or something, and I'll wake up after a few hours of sleeping and I'll roll over onto the other side. So when I'm awake in the morning, I will roll over onto the other side, and then new memories sometimes will come back to me. It triggers the cues for the dream memory. Keep it all in a journal. You've been learning that, and you've been doing it, and good for you. I hope that you're doing it regularly. Keeping a dream journal is for working with dreams. Number one, first thing that you need to do every morning, keep it as much as you can. I know that some people start their morning at a run, but we are also experiencing this whole different kind of slowdown of life. A lot of us are working from home now, or we've lost our jobs. My industry went through a slowdown lately. And so, we're having more time for reflection. And this is the time that we're going to need for this. This is the time. Take the opportunity. Listen to that, you cultivate the voice that comes back to you. It's a feedback loop. You cultivate it by being aware of it, asking for it, keeping your mind, drawing it back to that place time and again. I'm so glad that we did this interview tonight, because you reminded, I was working all day long, and then I knew about an hour before we went on air, I'm like, man, my mind is not in the right place for this. So I went and I did some breathing exercises and did a little meditation, and, went and did some dishes so that my wife didn't have to look at all the dishes in the sink, and then, then we got on the air and I was in the right place. But it gave me that reminder, okay, yeah, I need to stop once in a while and get my mind back to the place where it needs to be. Then my environment will become more responsive to me. Things will start to happen in a good sort of way. I had a reminder of this not long ago when I was kind of lost in my own head, and a rock flew out of the night, skipped all the way up, and bounced off of my leg. It just rolled right up at me, dude. Just rolled out of the night. I heard it coming. It was skipped about 25 miles an hour across the top of a rock pile and then bounced off of my leg. It was saying, wake up. I'm looking around going, okay, was there an animal out in the night? Was there something else? But no, there wasn't. It was something telling me that I needed to be engaged with my environment, just even if it's just mentally. And then it said, go hug your wife, because there I was kind of lost in my own head. And, the person that I love is there in the other room and maybe feeling a little lonely.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the message that you got, Joe? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Man.
Yeah. Like,
you have a lot of things to communicate.
Yeah. I got a couple of messages actually. One was pretty shocking and the other one was like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. Like I would never do that it was right under my nose. I just didn't see it, So
yeah.
If I would have paid attention to what I was being told and some of the things that I was being told, I would have caught it. But I think I get caught up in my own delusions sometimes and illusions. Does that make any sense what I'm telling you?
Yeah, it's your narrative. Yeah, it's your narratives, man. You're getting caught up in your own head, and you get caught up in the story that you're telling yourself, and you're not paying attention. But if you learn it, then that's what's most important. And sometimes people around us have to be hurt in order for us to learn those lessons. And I'm not saying it's okay, but as long as you learn, then you've done the best with it that you can. And you're not going to spend a lot of time with guilt or regret or anything. That's just an energy sucker. It's learn from it and you go, okay, next time, I'm going to know. And I'm not going to let that person pass by without, or whoever it is, whether the specific person you had the experience with, or it's the next time someone comes along who's in a similar state. You go, no, I'm not going to let that happen again. I can't. The worst thing in this world, man, is to feel alone. And we're being forced into a position where we all feel alone. This whole thing that's going on right now. It's the drive, that wedge between all of us. And it's very important for us to reach out and connect and not let anyone feel alone right now. Because there are people who are very lonely. And because there's no one for them, they can't leave their homes. They haven't been able to leave their homes for months. And they're having no contact with anyone. And when they do have a little bit of contact, it's someone behind a mask.
Yep.
There's no ability to connect with the person who's there. So I'm making sure, man, when I get every opportunity that I can, I'm going through the grocery line and that person's over there, and they're behind that mask. I give them that smile, and I look at them and I go, I hope you're having a good day, brother. And that delivery person comes to my door and, I say, hey, man, thank you. I appreciate it. So that we keep that connection with each other and no one feels alone. So just learn from it, man. You learned from it and now you know. But remember that sometimes the company that's, sometimes you can't see it with your eyes, man, but you can feel it with your heart and it's there.
Yep.
Engage with it.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, thanks for coming on the broadcast. It was cool to get to talk to you again. And
bro, always.
We'll do it again, I still think this is a calling to listen to our spirit and our intuition. Sometimes we just don't. And I really feel like what we're going through now that's what it's all about. And it's just, everything is just kind of ironic to me. Because I literally, like, all this stuff happened tonight. Like, everything just came to a point to where I understand what the hell's been going on. And, yeah. So you helped me, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sweet, bro. Yeah. Hey, man. Everybody who's listening live, come to pastlives.reddit.com tomorrow. I have Madeline Claire Wilmoth. She's from Arkansas, actually. She might be your neighbor. And she's our past life AMA specialist. She's kind of a natural. She's been through a spiritual awakening, and she's teaching people how to use visualization and past life regression. She did an AMA with us that was wonderful. She had big engagement from the community and gave great answers. So tomorrow, starting at noon Eastern, she's going to be there at pastlives.reddit.com, and she's going to stay all day. So she'll be around to answer questions. Anybody who wants to know more about this.
How do you spell her last name?
Whether visualization, Wilmoth, Wilmoth. So okay. She's it's right there. There's an AMA announcement right now that has her name there. She went to the University of Arkansas, and so she'll be there, and she's a good advisor. She'll be able to answer questions and stuff. And of course, anybody that wants to know about me can go to jmdebord.com. And who wants to know about me, right?
Well, everybody, man. Like everybody is kind of. There's a lot of people interested in what you're doing, and I am too. And I really appreciate you coming on.
Well, I humbly thank you, bro. It's been a wonderful experience being on the air with you, and you're doing a lot of good, man. There's a lot of people that you're reaching. You're a voice that's keeping them company. So remember that. There's a lot of people who they don't have anything else right now, but they're listening to you. They're listening to us, and you're keeping them company. So that's a lot of good that you're doing there.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, brother. But anyways, Leah. Till next time, huh? We'll do it again. For sure.
Sounds good, man. Yep. I'm out.
All right,
brother. All right. Y'all take care. Good night, man.
That is JM Debord, everybody. Go check him out. It's pretty ironic. A lot of weird stuff is happening in the shack tonight. I can tell you that. Maybe I'll talk about it later. But go to dreams123.net if you want to go check out JM Debord. He's a regular guest that comes on the program. We got to get out of here before the Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable is coming on. Thank you guys so much for all of you for all your support, especially the patrons, you guys, the new ones that signed up to Tom. We got a couple of Toms in there, Brandon, Corin. I mean, all of you guys in there are Malorcas, Macon, Brent, Brandon, Kathleen, Lynn, Spiral C, Taro, Teresa. I hope I didn't miss Dave. I hope I didn't miss any of y'all. If I did, I'm sorry. We got to roll out of here. Thanks to Pacho. Thank our sponsors, ancientlifeoil.com, getthetea.com, and Metaphorical Archaeology. Thank you all. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Good night.
On this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised.